Hey calculus nerds, I'm doing Riemann sums with different bases. And so to start out with, you're going to need a table of your x's and f of x's. And to show that mine are different bases, I used 1 to 4, which is 3, and then 4 to 6, which is 2, so that already tells you that they have different bases. These are rectangles, and I'm doing left hand, right hand, midpoint, and trapezoid with 5 rectangles. So 1 to 4 is 1, 4 to 6 is 2, 6 to 9 is 3, 1 to 13, 4, 13 to 14 is 5 rectangles. Okay, to start out with, I am going to do a little table to find my area of my left hand first. So left hand of 5. I'm just going to circle that to remind myself. And to start out with, you're going to write your triangles just down the line 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The next thing you're going to do is write down your x points. I'm going to start with 1 because when you're doing the left hand, you start out with the left hand side of the rectangle. So that'd be 1, and then that'd be 4. Third one would be 6, and so on. So 1, 4, 6, 9, and 13. The next thing I'm going to do is the height. That is f of x, and that's the same thing with the x values. You're always going to start at the left because we're doing left of 5. So 9, 14, 18, 25, and 37. Next thing we're going to do is the bases, and just to remind you all that my bases are different, so I'm not going to just write like 2 as the same base for all of my rectangles. So 1 to 4 is 3, 4 to 6 is 2, 6 to 9 is 3, 9 to 13 is 4, 13 to 14 is 1. And then to get my area, I am going to do base times height because that's the area of a rectangle. So 9 times 13 is 27, 14 times 2, 28, 18 times 3 is 54, 25 times 4 is 100, and then 37 times 1 is 37. And then to get the whole left hand of 5, the area equals 246. So that is my answer for the left hand side of 5 rectangles. I'm going to do my right hand side of 5 rectangles, circle that. Same thing, you're just going to start at the right hand side. So write down how many triangles I'm using, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Write down my x values, and this is where I start at the right hand side because it's the right hand side. So the right hand side of the rectangle. So that'd be 4, then be 6, 9, 13, and 14. I'll go ahead and write down my height. Same exact thing as the x's. You're just going to start at the right hand side of the rectangle depending on which rectangle you're at. So the first one would be 4, second one would be 6, 14, 18, 25, 37, and 39. And then, same exact thing, base times height. My bases are 3, 2, 3, 4, and 1. They're all the same rectangles. It doesn't matter if you're on the left-hand side of the rectangle or right-hand side. They're always going to be the same bases depending on which rectangle you're at. So I just copied those down. Then area, base times height. So that's going to be 42, 36, 75, 148, 39, add those together and you get 340. And that is the right hand side of 5 rectangles. Now I am going to do the midpoint of 5. Kind of the same thing, it's just going to be on your x's and your height. Instead of going left hand or right hand, you're going to go in between those numbers. So some of these you're going to have like half of a number, and I'll show you in here in just a second. Go ahead and write down the rectangles that you're using, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you're going to do your x values. This means you're going to go in between the first in the first rectangle, you're going to go in between the two numbers, the left hand and the right hand. So 1 and 4, half of that is 2.5. So you're going to take the average. And then from 4 to 6, in between that is 5. From 6 to 9, that's 7.5. 9 to 13, that's 11. And then 13 to 14 is 13.5. Now I'm going to do my height. Same exact thing, just take the average between them. So 9 and 14 be 11.5. 14 and 18, that'd be 16. And then 21.5, 31, and 38. Bases still stay the same because it's still the same rectangle. So it'd be 3, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Multiply those together to get the area. So it'd be 11.5 times 3, which is 34.5. 16 times 2 is 32, and then 21.5 times 3 is 64.5. And then 124, 38, add them together to get the midpoint of 5 rectangles, and that is 293 of 5 midpoint rectangles. Now, to do the trapezoid, you're just going to do, I'm just going to show you a simple little trick. You're going to do the left-hand side of how many rectangles, which is 5, plus the right-hand side of 5 rectangles, which equals, you're just going to add up the total area. So that's 246 plus 340, which equals 582. And then that's not all you're going to do for trapezoid of 5. You are going to divide that by 2. So when I divide it by 2, I get 291, which equals the trapezoid area of 5 rectangles. And then you are done.